Hello, welcome to Ace Chemistry with Aminu Kabir.
Every scientific breakthrough, from vaccines to space travel, started with one thing: a question. The scientific method is how we turn questions into answers. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to define the scientific method, identify and describe the steps of the scientific method, differentiate between scientific theories and scientific laws, explain the types of scientific models and their uses. What is scientific method? The scientific method is a step-by-step process used to investigate a question or problem systematically. What are the steps involved in the scientific method? The first step is to ask a question or identify a problem. Here, we're going to ask the question, why do iron rust? The next step after asking the question is to conduct background research. In this step, we're going to read articles and publications that have been done previously by other scientists on rusting of iron. After that, we're going to form an hypothesis. An hypothesis is formed using what we find out from our background research. It is also known as an educative guess. The next step is to actually test our hypothesis. Here, we'll test our hypothesis using an experiment. In this case, we're going to have three test tubes. The first test tube will contain water and nail. The second test tube will contain nail, water, and oil. The last test tube is going to contain calcium chloride, nail, and air. The next step is to make our observation and collect data. In chemistry, we have two types of observation. The first observation is quantitative observation, which involves measuring or counting. That is, we measure time, temperature when carrying out quantitative observation. While in qualitative observation, it involves describing the substance, that is in terms of color and how hot or cold the substance is. So in this case, we can see from our first test tube that the iron nail starts rusting. The second test tube, the iron nail in presence of boiled water and oil does not rust. This is because when the water is boiled, all dissolved air is removed from it. Then the oil layer prevents air from going into the test tube. The next test tube contains calcium chloride with air. Calcium chloride absorbs water moisture from the air, therefore the nail does not rust. So we can see from this experiment that we need two conditions for rusting to take place. First, we need oxygen from the air, and we also need water for rusting to take place. So these are the two major conditions for rusting to take place. After gathering and collecting our data, we're going to analyze the data and draw conclusions. This conclusion is communicated with other scientists around the world. The next is types of scientific investigation. We have two types of scientific investigation. The first is pure science. Pure science investigations focuses on understanding basic properties and processes. Example, we have atomic scientists who study to understand the nature of an atom and its property. The next type of investigation we have is the applied science. The applied science uses theoretical knowledge from pure science to solve real-world problems. Scientific models help us understand things too big, too small, or too complex to see. So scientists develop models to help represent complex ideas. We have different types of models. The first type of model we have here is the physical model, which includes 3D objects. The next model is the computer model. The computer models are simulations, from weather simulations of experiments, and this helps us to understand more about what is happening in that context. The next is mathematical models. Mathematical models are equations to predict outcomes. For example, we have the equation for volume, which is length times breadth times height. This model helps us calculate the volume of an object. Next, scientific theories and scientific law. What is the difference between these two? Scientific theory is an explanation based on repeated experiments, like the atomic theory. The next is the scientific law. The scientific law is a statement of what happens in nature. Example is the law of conservation of mass. The scientific method is the backbone of discovery. With this, we've come to the end of today's lesson. Download the lesson notes and take the quiz in the description. Don't forget to subscribe to Ace Chemistry for more short and clear lessons that makes you exam ready. I am Aminu Kabir. See you in the next reaction.